This is Josh Byrne of the Buffalo Bandits, and you're listening to the 716 Sports Podcast.
Welcome back to another edition of the 716 Sports Podcast. Recording here the week of March 25th. The Buffalo Bandits continue their winning ways of victory at home against the Toronto Rock, and we'll talk to returning Bandits forward Josh Byrne. The Sabres are still playing hockey. People are mad at rookies. People are mad about everything. They just lost to the Devils. We'll talk about all of that. UB men's and women's basketball get to the second round of the NCAA basketball tournament and no further. That and plenty more here tonight on the 716 Sports Podcast. And before we get too deep into this, as always, thank you so much for listening. And please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. You can find us everywhere podcasts are found: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you'd like to find us. And on social media, you can find us on Facebook at 716 Sports Podcast and on Twitter at 716 Sport Podcast, where if you're listening to this here this week, we are right smack dab in the middle of our Sabres Drought Madness bracket. We're in the second round, and it is heating up. So get over there, get your votes in, and let us know what your favorite moments are, favorite, famous, or infamous moments from this now long-standing and continuing Buffalo Sabres playoff drought. And let's get right into this show with the hottest team still in Buffalo. A 4-0 deficit in the first quarter. We'll talk to Josh about it later. A game that you feel like Bandits teams of the past would have just folded up and maybe not won. Bandits go on a 6-0 run and take a controlling lead in the Eastern Conference with an 8-6 win over the Toronto Rock.
Buffalo played with good pace in the first quarter, but Nick Rose showed what he can do. He'd been struggling a little bit of late. I think he gave up 15 on 45 in Calgary 2 weeks prior. They had a nice win the week before. They lose in Georgia pretty handily. Actually, Rosie got pulled after 35 minutes
really
down
bad
in
game
Georgia.
for them down there.
And I think a lot of putting Hutchcraft in was keeping Rosie fresh. If you didn't know this, Matt Sawyer has started Nick Rose in every single game for the 3 years he's been the head coach. So they have never split the back-to-backs. They've never given the backup a chance to start, even when it was Brandon Miller, like one of the best goaltenders to ever play. He did not start ahead of Nick Rose with Coach Matt Sawyer at the helm. So you knew it was going to be Nick Rose again on Saturday, and he absolutely spun on his head for the entirety of the game. But in the first quarter, the Bandits get a power play to end the first quarter as time expired, and Dane Smith cashes in on the power play to start the second quarter, and the Bandits quickly turned a 4-0 deficit into a 4-4 game at the half with a very solid second quarter. The Bandits decided to just continue the party in the third quarter, did not let Toronto score in the third quarter either, so pretty solid all around for the Bandits there. And the run got capped off at a 6-0 run. Bandits were leading 6-4. Toronto scored to make it 6-5. Buffalo scored to make it 7-5. Toronto scored 7-6. Buffalo scores 8-6, and that's that. But a complete game. It would have been so easy, Jeff, for them to fold up the tents the way that first quarter went with the way Nick Rose was playing.
And you saw a lot of fight in the team, both mentally and at one point, if you ask Weiser, very much physically. Some really good videos going around Bandits Mafia of that skirmish and him and Cree getting tangled up together.
Kieran McArdle. It was McArdle that actually threw with him. So Cree and him were tangled up, and I think McArdle and him are who threw down. So, but yeah, it was good to see. Listen, I unabashedly say how much I love watching Nick Weiss play lacrosse because he's just such a hardworking guy, and what he does without the ball and with the ball, but his defensive play, his hustle. He went 6 for 7 on faceoffs on Saturday as well. For some reason, Toronto scratched Jay Thornbert. Weiser told me after the game that Jay saw him before the game and said, "You're going to have an easy day today." And Weiser was like, "Well, shit, my life just got a little easier."
And Bandits fans will remember just how good Jay Thornbert is in the faceoff dot. So you wonder about a team who's struggling to get possessions, maybe a few extra possessions do help the Bandits when they're trying to get back in the game there.
And they're missing Chase, don't forget. So Fraser's been the face-off guy for Buffalo. Thornbert is the face-off guy for Toronto, and it was kind of a perfect storm for Buffalo in a game that Fraser doesn't play. Weiser and Mickey take the face-offs. McKay goes 7 for 11, and Weiser 6 for 7, so a nice day from the dot for them as well. Dane Smith with a hat trick, player of the game, first star, I believe. And could have been Nick Rose, but first star, and he was the heavyweight player of the game for the Bandits. And Dane, really, we've talked about it before, he's the engine that gets this team going. They were struggling to score. He buries one on the power play, basically says, "Boys, come with me." You know, he did that against Georgia. Unfortunately, they still lost, but you can watch Dane take a game over. When they're struggling to score, he's like, I'll get us going. Give me a second.
Just one of those classic leader moves, just putting the team right on his back and like, all right, we're having a hard time getting this offense going. Let me get us started. And it wasn't enough against Georgia to get the team fully kickstarted. It turns out to be enough on Saturday, and part of the reason is that at the other end, after giving up 4 goals early on, Matt Vins allows 2 goals over the final 3 quarters of the game, and you're going to win a whole bunch of games if your goaltender holds the opposing team to 2 goals in the final 3 quarters.
You're going to win a lot of games if you hold an opposition to 6 goals. You're going to win a lot of games if you hold your opposition to 8 goals, just to be clear. The Rock defense and Nick Rose did a beautiful job keeping this Buffalo offense off the scoreboard for chunks of time, and it's one of those things that Nick Rose did all he could, and the defense played well, but that was the complete team win that Buffalo, and what's crazy, Jeff, is they still haven't played a full 60-minute great game, and maybe they're saving it for the playoffs, and you gotta hope that they are, but it feels like this team is already dangerous. How dangerous will they be if they manage to play for 60 minutes?
And you mentioned, we mentioned them kind of in passing of each other. You had a big change to the one side of the offense with Chase going on IR this week, and then Josh returns to the lineup, who's, we're going to talk to him about getting up to game speed and his injury and what he's been dealing with. But, he's not fully 100% up to game speed to start the game. You have Chase, who's playing so well, go out of the lineup. All that change.
And Dallas Bridle jumped in. Dallas Bridle played his first NLL game and had an assist and looked okay on the right side, making some room for Evie and Dane. So don't want to let that get lost in the shuffle. But yeah, Byrne, if you're going to lose a guy like Fraser, what a week to do it, to get Josh back.
That classic air burn goal in front of the goal. And you mentioned that Gertler was a little bit unsure about him going for it, landing the way that he did, but bounced back up and kept playing. Got the fans all rile up. Full house, too, at the KeyBank Center.
Yeah, almost 17,000 in the stands. And the best way to put it is when you go for a crease dive in the NLL, you are going to clatter into the ground. There's no denying it. Whether you're injured or not, you're going to hit the ground hard because these guys are so athletic. They're jumping 3-4 feet in the air. They're horizontal. They're perpendicular or parallel to the ground. And then they just hit the ground with all their body at once. And when he did mention after last game, he had a torn meniscus. So...
And that turf is not soft.
No,
it is not forgiving. Oh, no, I know it is. It is not forgiving at all.
And for his first actual game action, probably not practicing his dives in the pregame stretches or anything like that. So,
but a nice
kind of going for it.
Nice 2-goal performance from him. You don't want to say he didn't miss a beat, but in his first game back, he certainly looked pretty good. And I think he would even tell you that it's going to take a little time to get used to the body and get back up to speed. But the other advantage is they didn't have to rush him back because they were playing so well without him. And, I know from being around the team that he was ready to come back weeks ago himself, and he was beginning to do things like run, but he wasn't 100% yet, obviously. But it's good to see him come back into the lineup, make an impact. He had to be excited to be playing with the boys again, and the result is worth it, makes it all worth it.
Such a rich get richer scenario for the Bandits offense with how many goals and how many just absolutely great games they were having when he wasn't in. And now you add one of the most top-end skill, just pure skill players in the NLL back to an offense like that.
Yeah, first overall pick who knows how to score from anywhere on the floor.
Just
phenomenal.
Greatly positioning this team for their end of the season run to the playoffs. And now, unfortunately, for the Bandits fans here in Buffalo, it's going to be a little while before the team is back on the home floor again. Only one more regular season home game here on the 20th of April.
It's weird. So they're on the road. They're bye week this week. On the road to Toronto the 5th, which is huge. Friday night game in Toronto. The tiebreaker is at stake, but obviously it was a 2-point game, 4-point game, for lack of better terms, on Saturday. So not only does Buffalo get the win, they hand Toronto a loss, which is huge in the standings. And then another bye week, followed by a home game to New England on the 20th, the last home game of the year, fan appreciation night. I'm not just saying this, get your tickets, because they've already sold like 15,000 plus, and I'm telling you.
If last Saturday's game is any indication with how well they're playing and the season settling in and people coming back around, it's going to be
packed.
First come, first serve for those. Mm-hmm. So definitely do get in on the ground floor.
On the road to San Diego. That was supposed to be the first game of the year. Rescheduled. They were supposed to fly to San Diego week 1, and they did not. So now they'll fly to San Diego week 18, right? I think that's the week it'll be. And then they come home for a playoff game, most likely. Looking a whole lot like that's going to be the case.
Barring something significant in terms of a downturn of their play, they very much are in control of their own destiny for that. So we will keep our eyes posted for all of that. Early May, likely home playoff
May 3rd
game.
to 5th has been announced as the first playoff weekend. Obviously, if you're the Bandits, it would probably be the 4th because they generally like to play on Saturdays. I haven't looked at the KeyBank Center calendar, but there will not be a hockey game that day, so I'm guessing the Bandits will be looking at May 4th.
You're telling me the Sabres are going to be done playing by then? You sure?
No comment.
No Stanley Cup run this year?
No comment.
On that note, we are excited at this time to call up our, I guess you can call him friend of the pod now, his second appearance on the show, Bandits forward Josh Byrne.
Hollywood.
We'll take a moment here to talk to Josh. All right, back on the 716 Sports podcast here. Excited to be joined at this time by Bandits forward Josh Byrne. Josh, thank you so much for taking time here and joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So a big game, not to be understated for you guys on Saturday. A tough start, but all around a great team win. And for you to get back out there, how did it feel to get that win with that tough start in front of the home fans on Saturday?
Yeah, the team's been on a pretty big win streak here just for the last little while. So coming in, I didn't really want to ruin any of that. So for us to get the win was definitely good for the entire mental psyche part of it. So yeah, it was nice.
Was it tough getting yourself back on the field and back into full game speed? I know you're practicing, you're warming up, but is game speed and all that a lot different for you?
Yeah, game speed's always a whole nother gear. Whenever you're preparing to try to come back and play, there's nothing that can really prepare you for that level of play. So for it to kind of just to jump back into it, I think it was 8 weeks, something like that I've been out. It was definitely a challenge, but nothing feels better than getting back in front of those that home crowd, that big Buffalo crowd that we had going on that last Saturday night.
Now, on a more personal note for you, is this the longest injury you faced in your playing career? You missed 9 games, as you mentioned, about 8 weeks. Is this the longest injury you've had to deal with in your young playing career?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely the longest and the most challenging that I've had. I had a bit of a injury last year, but it wasn't anything too serious. I could play through it, and there's nothing worse when you're not allowed to play. You know what I mean? Like this, you physically just can't do it. You're unable to do it, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So it's definitely a very frustrating thing.
We saw it shoot around. You had kind of some wrap on it, and then the purple bionic knee brace 3000 that had to feel different. I mean, that's got to feel restrictive. I think you usually wear the leg warmers, right? But how restrictive does that feel? Is there a mental block that man, there's this thing on my leg, or are you able to tune it out?
For the most part, it's when I'm walking. When I'm walking around, it feels a little different. Feels like there's this monster just attached to my leg and I can't shake it off. But once I started kind of playing and kind of getting in the game, you kind of just start to forget about it and try to just rely on your knee as it is, and trust your body, and to understand that the preparation that you have done and the training that I have done to get back to this point is for a pretty good reason. So it was definitely a hard kind of adjustment for the first couple minutes, but once I got my first licks in, I was all good.
Gertz said he was nervous. He kind of cringed when he saw you go up for the air burn goal, because obviously that's going to be pretty demanding on the lower body and quite the collision with the ground coming down. So was that a thing that, did you even think about it, or was it just instinctual to just go to the net and go across? And if we're being real, that's how you got to beat Rosie, because he's, how well he blocks the net. You got to get around him, and that was a hell of a play. We see you do that all the time, but it definitely makes us worry when we see, that big old knee brace on and you go into the crease like that.
Yeah, I think a couple of doctors on the sidelines are kind of freaking out, like, what are you doing? But I mean, on my end, it's just a natural reflex, and when I see something open up, I can't help but take it. And there's not really anything that's going to hold me back. And I think when I hit the ground a little bit, I kind of regretted it a bit. I was like, oh, I'm going to on that. But no, beforehand, it was all, I'm going to the net and I'm trying to put this ball in the back of the net.
Now, you've only been a part of the team for 2 years, but we've heard Coach Tavares say pretty candidly that there have been a couple of games this year where he's like, I don't think we win this game last year. And going down 4-0 after the first, I don't think anybody in the building counted you guys out, but we know last year you guys got off to some poor starts and a lot of times had trouble getting back into games. This year, you guys not only, figured out a way to win, you guys dominated the rest of the game. You turned their 4-0 run into a 6-0 run. You shut them out for 2 quarters, and it's got to feel different, obviously, but this team is so much different than just one short year ago.
Yeah, I think that we're very confident. as players, and I think that helps with the big guy between the pipes, right? When you got a guy like Vino that can lock down, and that if you just keep playing good defense, you keep limiting their transition, keep limiting their chances as well, that he's going to hold it down back there. And it kind of gives us a bit of confidence as well up front and be like, listen, we know they're going to settle down. We just got to figure out a way to beat this guy because Rosie's playing on his head. And as long as we stuck to our game plan, we knew we were going to eventually get through them a little bit.
Did Nick Rose not know that it was Corey Small's birthday? Because I don't think I've ever seen a guy play a better game than Corey played without scoring a goal, because Rose single-handedly robbed that man about 8 times. He had 8 shot attempts at the half, 4 on and 4 off, and he was getting the quick sticks. He was open for shots, especially on the power play. And Rosie's doing this crazy shit where he's diving across the crease and getting his stick on shot. I'm like, it is his birthday. Let him get one here. But Rosie's unreal. Corey had a great game too, even though he didn't score. But Rosie, I'm not trying to dog your guy because I'm a big fan of Matt Vince, but I think Rosie played better than him on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on, what he ate for breakfast, but he was on another level. Just the stops that he was making were just ridiculous stops. That's kind of the book on him too, right? Is that he likes to come out and try and get those back doors, but I think he's grown as a goalie and he understands that. Listen, when I do come out, if those backdoor passes get through, he's gonna have to try and make those desperation saves. So I think he understands that part, and he's definitely been working on it because he kept getting across and somehow saving. For a big boy like that, he sure moves well.
So we've heard from the coaches all the way down to some of your forward mates that this is a more creative and dynamic offense than it's been the last couple of years. Does it feel like that way on the field, that you have much more space to create, that it's harder for other goalies and defenders to defend you because of the level of skill that's out there with everyone on your forward group?
Yeah, I think it comes with just being a very close group. We're all pretty tight, and I think last year with Evie kind of coming in halfway through, it didn't really ever give us that chance to really mesh as a group. And for this group to be together for the majority of training camp, coming through all the way through the season, obviously there was times in the season where Dan was out, then where I was out. Now with Fraser being out, it's kind of like there's usually one guy rotating in and out, and especially with Kuche coming in. Luckily, Kuche is a great dude, and we've all kind of meshed very well together. He's living down here in Buffalo too, so that's helped with everything. But no, when it comes to just us being just great friends, it sounds kind of cliche, but when everybody wants everyone to score, it's a different ball game out there, and everybody's excited for everyone.
The standings have been so muddied in the East, and at 11-3, you guys didn't even have anything but a playoff spot locked up. I believe if you do the math right, you guys could have finished in 4th place still. Now that you've beaten Toronto and you've kind of put some distance there, I didn't redo the math, but you guys, it looks more like a home playoff game, and hopefully, first in the East and first in the NLL. But there's a huge win on Saturday. For the standings, for you guys, for the tiebreaker, because Toronto beat you guys at home before. You guys got to go back there in 13 days or 12 days or 11 days after this airs. A huge win in the East against a tough team. It has to feel good to be 12-3 right now. Holy cow.
Yeah, the record's always good, but I think we've done a pretty good job as an entire team to really focus on going 1-0 every weekend. So no matter what's going on, this is a championship game. We prepare like it's a championship game every single weekend. And I think it's going to benefit us in the long run, considering once we hopefully get to that game and get to those playoff games, those real important games, that we're so used to preparing for every other game, like a championship game, that we're ready for those games. So, I think it's a big test to how the coaches have dealt with everything. Never let us kind of get too high. Whenever we won it, it's okay, listen, yeah, we won, but here's 4 or 5 things that we could do better and that we need to improve on. Because when it comes down to it, we need to be basically perfect to try and do something big here. So, yeah.
So, Josh, before we let you go, we posed a question to everyone here on social media today if they had any questions for you. We do have a couple that we'd like to ask you here. First off, so we've talked to Chase and Kluch here over the last couple of weeks. People are curious about your opinion on Jets Pizza.
Jets. I mean, how can you not love Jets? I mean, I think that's what every Sunday there's always a Jets pizza laying around. I think there was one yesterday. I think old Fraser and McKay were passed out on my couch as I came home. There's about a half a Jets pizza still sitting there. So I definitely came in and helped myself a little bit.
So this started because we asked Chase what his favorite wings were, and he said Jets. And we said we were going to edit that out for him because in Buffalo, that is not acceptable. But if you did not hear, we ordered Jets Pizza for the podcast last Monday.
We're converts.
And we were impressed. So we'll give you guys credit for that. Now we just got to get Jets to sponsor us on the podcast. So since you're famous, if you could pull some strings for us and get them to sponsor our podcast, that'd be excellent.
We'll take some pizza. We'll ship you guys the rest, and it'll work out for everyone.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Perfect.
So actually what'll happen is since we interview Bandits every Monday, we'll just have them come here with Jets Pizza, and then you guys could just be part of the podcast, and it's a win-win. We'll do pizza and beer and podcast. So, all right. So we had a good question that was also asked of Chase before, the best chirp that you've heard on the floor. You can be as candid as you want. Chase said it was something, what was it? They called him a prima donna pretty boy. And he said that happened against Toronto last season, and he said it was so good because he didn't know how to respond to it. So best chirp you've heard on the floor. It can be from a teammate or from opposition. Best chirp you've heard on the floor.
Best chirp that I've heard on the floor. There hasn't really been that good ones lately. I'm honestly a little surprised because usually I do get good ones. In junior, they used to call me Hollywood. Yeah, nice job, Hollywood, you fucking idiot.
Were you the one that called Chase prima donna pretty boy? Or no, I don't think it was.
It probably was me. I mean, me and Chase had a pretty big rivalry back in junior, so yeah. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
Hollywood. And now you have Antonio Brown's brother coming, or cousin,
whatever,
related to Antonio Brown coming out for the draft, Hollywood Brown. So, I mean, we can call that a compliment. Someone asked, what's going on with YouTube? Are you gonna be a YouTuber? Did I miss something?
Yeah. So, I'm dropping a vlog. I'm starting to do a vlog on next Sunday on my YouTube channel. I'm just creating everything. You can check it out on my Instagram.
Is that Hollywood fucking idiot on YouTube? Is that your username? Or?
Oh yeah, you'd be surprised. But no, yeah, I think there's gonna be a couple of boys making a good appearance on it, and I'm starting to try and get into video making and a couple of picture taking. Actually, while I was actually hurt. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do while just having to sit on the road. Or
you were filming Dane's World. We know what you were doing. Dumb and Dumber and Dane's World. We know what you were doing.
Yeah. My acting skills they could use a little work, but
says who? Who told you that? Did Dane tell you that? Because he should. Those that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
yeah. Dane's not the best actor either. It was actually funny a couple times when we were on set. They're like, all right, come on, this time now, get it right. It's not that difficult here. Come on,
how many takes did Dane's World take?
Oh man, at least it.
Anyways. Well, Josh, we thank you for your time today very, very much. Thanks for coming on and being so candid with us. It's great to see you back on the floor. Let me fanboy for a second. You're so talented and so dynamic with the ball in your stick. It's great to watch you. Great to be seeing you back doing your thing out on the floor. And I'm so excited for the success you guys have had so far this year. So we appreciate your time tonight and coming on the show for us. And we hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the bye week.
All right, take care.
And thanks again to Josh Hollywood Byrne for joining us here on the podcast here tonight, sharing his insights returning from injury. Big Bandits win on Saturday, looking for a good, deep playoff run here from at least one of our teams here in the 716. Justen.
Hey.
Yes, over the weekend, you responded to a tweet on Twitter.com that drew some of your ire and some of mine as well.
There are two tweets, but one in particular, Paul Hamilton. There was that play. Who they played the other day? I forget. It's some brain fart.
On Saturday? Was that the Montreal game?
Yeah, Montreal. There's a play. We're dialing in the puck at the corner in our own zone, and he tried making a play. Tried tapping the puck to the forward's feet and moving around him, getting the puck out of the zone. But I saw on Twitter the next day, Paul Hamilton tweet, Dahlin went out of his way not to be hit, and Gallagher makes it 2-1. Montreal. Not just a shitty tweet, Paul Hamilton. Like he laid it out as a way he was like afraid to be hit, didn't want to get hit. You've seen Dahlin take hits to make plays all season long.
Good hockey defensemen don't care about their own safety. They just put their head down and get shouldered to the jaw to make a pass to Sabatka because he definitely won't turn it over.
This is a terrible tweet. I hate when the Buffalo media guys do this, especially something like Paul Hamilton, who knows the game like the way he does. Say people don't like Paul. I think he has good taste because he's played the game at a high level, and I think he has good taste on the game.
I agree.
People don't like him, I think, because he's honest.
Yeah.
But you had feelings on that.
Yeah. So we're here in a game that, for all intents and purposes, means nothing against a Montreal team that has a lot to play for. And we allow 7 goals in this game, and we don't play well for the last 40 minutes. Again, the second period, not good, as it is a lot of games. The only exception being the Devils game here. It's recording tonight on this Monday, but they didn't get anything out of that game anyway. We're going to pick the one takeaway from this game for people on Twitter is that Dahlin should have just taken the hit to make the play. Like it isn't Sabatka being out there not covering for him where he should have been. It's not anything else. Like I hate that, first of all. Secondly, we got Dahlin, who's 18. We have Nylander called up here, and at least we were worried he wasn't going to get the look. We thought he was going to be maybe up here for a couple games ago back when Jack was back. Him up here. But the mindset of both, I think, the head coach and a lot of Sabres fans on social media about what the young players should be doing while they are here playing professionally for some of their first games is mind-boggling to me.
The other tweet I want to talk about this same subject is from Mike Harrington, who I'm trying to open it up, and he actually deleted his tweet.
Way to own it, Harrington.
Fucking turd. I wonder if he deleted it in lieu of my response, because I think I tore him up. He said something about Middlestat and somebody else not being able to handle. This game was too big for them. I think it's Middlestat and Dahlin, if I remember correctly. Jerk for deleting his tweet. Something about the game being too big for 2 rookies. And I retweeted it and quoted it saying, "Those darn rookies and having to learn from mistakes are on the job to improve. After all these years, Harrington still makes mistakes, such as every single one of his tweets, for example. It's okay, Mike. You'll figure it out."
And that's the essence of it. Like,
will he really?
No, he'll never. This guy will never learn anything. Going to be completely honest with you.
And the worst thing is, like, it's the take you stole from Jason Pominville earlier in the day.
Yeah.
When Pominville was talking about the opportunity this game is for rookies to learn from, because it's a big game. Saturday night in Montreal. It's a huge night. It's a big scene. And he wouldn't even have his take if Pominville didn't say that the day before or that morning. But
he's just trying to poke the bear on the internet versus having a good educated take on it, which is fine. I mean, there's a place for that to get discussion going.
These are rookies. That's how they learn.
Right, and it's if you watch Rasmus Dahlin play this season, and your takeaway from him is, man, I wish he just took that hit, versus, man, he's a young defender who's developing into one of the best puck-moving defensemen in the NHL, then you're not watching the same game that I am. Exactly. I don't know what to tell you.
It's a takeaway of one play versus a whole body of work over the whole course of the whole season. People are looking at these one individual moments instead of looking at the whole course of the season. Going into the season, we thought they were, at best, going to be a wild card team, but we thought they were going to be close out of the playoffs. I mean, this season's been a disappointment, but there are bright spots this season. Skinner, Eichel, Dahlin. I mean, there's a lot to build off of, and fans and the mainstream media need to look at what's in place for next season instead of worrying about these individual moments that really, a lot of them don't mean much in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I don't hate to play. You look at Dahlin's whole body of work. You notice what he does. He holds on to the puck to the very last second, just embarrasses guys. And that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to tap it through his feet, step around him, move the puck forward. Because, the smart play, the play you're supposed to make there, it's a simple play, up the boards, to the winger. But knowing Sabres hockey, that guy probably wasn't there. So he was forced to make a play.
Yeah, forced to improvise.
That's too close to home. That's very real.
But people want to dog on Tage and dog on Middlestat for now being defensively responsible. But these are kids playing in a man's league. Tage is 2021. Middlestat is about the same age.
1920.
Yep. Dahlin's an 18-year-old kid. Doing what I was doing when I was 18, I won't tell you because it's bad.
It's probably pretty stupid, wasn't it?
Making the play up the boards to the
But
winger.
These are you want to say they've been playing hockey their whole lives, blah blah blah. But it's a different game in the NHL. You got to learn from your mistakes, and that's how Dowling's going to learn. There, he's going to learn. I can't do this fancy stuff all the time. I got to make simple plays sometimes, and it's how Taylor's going to learn. I can't do toe drags all day long. I got to take a shot or make a pass.
Right, and this doesn't mean that they're free from criticism. It doesn't mean that we can't be like, man, I wish that Tage or Casey or anyone on the team would do this.
But these two in particular are dumb fucking tweets.
Yeah, it's
When I start to look at problems this team has, those guys are so far down the list.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you start to address when you start to identify what the issues are and why this team is struggling, those types of things are so far down the list for me. Maybe it's just because I'm biased towards wanting the kids to play, but I don't know.
And from Darlene, it seems like he doesn't usually repeat his mistakes. He usually learns from it.
Right, which is half the point of having him up here playing on a bad team, so that you hope that when you have good teams around him, that he's like, all right, well, I've been there, done that, I know what to do.
Honestly, I don't think he would have learned anything in Rochester.
No.
I think eventually the book, he would probably light up Rochester.
It'd be ridiculous, but that would be a waste of his time.
I think eventually the book on Darlene's going to be just be patient. Let him walk into you because he holds on to that puck so long. But he'll learn. He's gonna be a superstar. He'll be Eric Carlson times 30.
You guys excited for Olofsson to come up here next year and for everyone on Twitter to get mad that he doesn't beat on an icing? like Darlene's... Every defenseman in the NHL at any level is going to make a play that leads to a goal for the other team. The fact that we're talking about Darlene making a mistake that led to a goal, and I can't remember
game
us doing this.
79 of the season.
I can't remember this happening at another point all season. Tells you everything you need to know about the kind of year that he's having.
The kid's phenomenal.
It's been unbelievable.
You got to really think about it. He's only 18 years old doing the stuff he's doing. He gets experienced veterans. It's great. Great to see. I like Tage. We talked about this last week on the show. I like Tage. Let him learn from mistakes. Like, at least he's learning by playing his game, because he's gonna redefine his game. He's gonna recreate it. It's gonna be better.
I thought he played really well tonight.
I think he plays really well most nights, but tonight he was visibly handcuffed by Pominville and Sabaka. What's a guy like Tage, who's offensively talented, what to do with those two guys? Pominville is a good player in his own right, but he's not not going to create stuff.
Yep.
He needs someone else to feed him.
I just kind of like him and Pominville together. Obviously not with Sabatka there. But I don't mind Pominville and Thompson together on the wings. I think you've got the veteran Pominville, who he definitely has lost a step, but you can learn a lot from playing with a guy like Jason Pominville and what veteran wingers like him do when you're a little bit slower than the other guy and you're a little more banged up. A guy like Tage, who has such a long reach and such like a physical presence, I think he can learn a lot from playing with Jason Pominville about how to win those corner battles and what to do to get himself in those tough areas. I think in that third period, he had a couple of good chances. One very good, about 4 minutes left in the third period, that Schneider made a great save coming left to right on, where he got to where he needed to get to. And it wasn't like he didn't just wind up and crank that. He had a very crafty veteran try to slide it back across his body, and Schneider had to twist his left pad back into his body to keep it there. I'd actually kind of like Tage with Pominville, to be honest with you.
I don't hate it. I think there needs to be another skilled center involved in that line.
Well, we need more skilled centers to begin with.
Up. Well, yeah.
Huh?
Someone needs to set those guys up.
Yeah.
Both of them. Both Tage and... If I think of Tage, he's going to be at the end of a play. Same thing with Pominville. Both of those guys are going to be at the end of a play that leads to a goal, not the start of it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Tage is going to take that shot from the slot. Pominville's going to get to the back door. Who's going to feed him?
I mean, that's the story of Pominville's career as being the guy on the end of great plays.
Yep.
He's got an insane shot, Tage.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'5", does every bit of that frame in all of his shots.
We said last week that once his shots start hitting the net, and I'm not saying that he's terrible, but he misses the net a lot now. But once they start hitting the net, look out.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a sniper.
I think as a young kid trying to pick corners, once you learn just to hit the net, get a puck on net, he'll start putting the puck in a little more.
Or you might get a rebound or something.
Yeah.
But
I hope. Do you think as it goes on later on in the season, and there's still a lot of time left, and this is just the pessimism of a Buffalo sports fan coming at me. The longer this goes on, I really think they're not going to re-sign Jeff Skinner.
It does feel more and more suspicious as the year goes on.
I don't know. That just seems like a weird thing that he's played great this year. That just makes me wonder what the holdup has been the whole time.
I have a question, and this is totally spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks.
I love that.
That's
where I live.
Just make sure it's not too much spaghetti at the wall.
July 1st comes around. Skinner's agent, we'll say it's July 2nd now, but Skinner's agent comes to Buffalo and says, hey, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have offered Jeff Skinner, I don't know what team, have offered Jeff Skinner 9.5 a year. And Botterill goes, all right, and he says if you match it, he's going to stay. I don't know. And then you talk to Artemi Panarin's agent, and you find out that Panarin is also going for $9.5 million a year. What do you do? I don't know. That's like I said, is part of the reason for holding out. Jeff Skinner saying, "I want to see what the market." His agent saying, "Let's see what the market puts your worth at, and if you want to stay in Buffalo, tell him to match it." Right? But what that does, as much as it opens up opportunity for him, is that Botterill is not handcuffed to Jeff Skinner anymore. If there's someone out there that he thinks is better than him, Jeff Skinner scored 1 goal in the last 18 games. He's been a great player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dogging Jeff Skinner.
But the Sabres have scored about 4 goals in the past 18 games, though. So,
yeah. Well, touche.
I think I don't know. In a situation like that, if you can get Skinner and know that you have a guy who works well here, plays well with Jack, all of that, and you're hoping that you either get him to take a bit of a discount if his season stats drop off or something. Skinner's he'll be 27 in 2 months.
My question now is, if you're Jeff
young.
Skinner, why do you sign now? You have nothing to gain by signing right now.
Well, yeah, at this point, he has nothing to gain. They should have been on this 3 months ago.
I don't think he's going to get a max contract, though, in the free agency. He'll get big offers.
Sure.
He's not going to get max. He's not going to get anything bigger
No,
than
and don't forget, the Sabres can give him 8 years.
He has. There's an article
Up until
somewhere
July
earlier
1st.
this season about his concussion history, his streakiness, and this slump he's going through right now isn't helping him at all.
No.
Like, if he was consistently scoring a goal every other game still, and it was up in the 40s.
The team can barely score a goal every other game.
Yeah. But I don't think he's going to... I think he's worth about 8.5. And he's probably pushing for 9.
That would be a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd pay him.
He's looking at Matt Hoffman money. I don't think they want to pay Matt Hoffman money.
How about Mike Hoffman?
I don't... Mike Hoffman, whatever. What are the M. Hoffman?
Mike Hoffman, noted good teammate.
Yeah.
I was to say now. But I don't think Matt Hoffman should have got Matt Hoffman money.
Are we talking about Mark Stone here?
Or Mark Stone.
One of those former
Hoffman's
The
in
guy
Florida.
that went to Vegas. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Mark Stone.
I'm
like,
sorry.
Who the hell is... First off,
One of
who
those-
is Mark
one of those-
Hoffman?
Matt Hoffman is a
Matt-
BMX
Mark-
rider from the old Tony Hawk games.
Chris Fraser.
One of those Ottawa
One
guys.
of these days, I'll live that one down.
Speaking out of
Nope.
frustration here. Thanks
No,
for
you
fixing
won't.
At least I
thanks
called
for-
Josh's entire interview.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So I'll be
correcting
thankful
me.
for
Hollywood.
I appreciate it.
that. It's called Hollywood.
So,
Mark
yeah, it's Mark
Stone.
Stone. Mark Stone's making bank, and
Yeah.
probably rightfully so.
Yeah.
That's also a team that has a lot of money to offer.
I think
because
Skinner-
they're
Which is
so-
crazy because of the deals they've made over the years. But anyway,
They got out from under a couple
Like
of them.
Tatar and-
Neil.
Yeah,
I think Skinner's
Getting rid
looking
of Tatar was huge for them.
they
And
traded a busload for him. A 1, 2, and a 3, right?
I think Skinner's looking for Mark Stone money, maybe more, because Stone's never surpassed 30 goals. Skinner has 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
but
Stone's
the
a
book that I
defenseman.
hear on Stone a lot is that
Huh?
he.
Isn't Stone the defenseman, or is his brother's the defenseman?
He's a winger.
Well, are we talking about Matt Stone or Mark Stone? No, the book on Stone is that he's a great two-way player, though.
Mm-hmm.
That he's really good in his own end, and I don't know if that's the book on Skinner, which is maybe
It's
part
not
of
the
why
book on
guys are
Skinner.
willing to pay more. But the other thing about
It's why
Stone,
you pay O'Reilly
what's
the money he
crazy
gets.
about Vegas, which it has me jealous, is like Stone goes out there and immediately slots into the second line, and is an absolute dagger on that second line. You put Mark Stone on this team, he's a top line winger immediately. You put him in Vegas, and he's a second line winger because the top line is what? Carlson, Riley Smith, and
Marchessault.
no, I don't think. I think the second line is Stastny, Marchessault, and Stone.
He's still now with 32 goals.
Admittedly, don't watch a lot of Vegas.
Stastny, right? Is Stastny with Vegas now?
Yeah.
I think he's on the second line. Either way, Stone is a second line winger for $9.5 million.
Anyways, back to your original question. If you're going Skinner or Panarin, I'm probably going to go Skinner.
I agree.
Just
I'm just
because the
saying,
locker
just
dynamic
this-
is already there.
Yeah.
at this point now, it's almost like they're not handcuffed to Skinner.
But I think the real...
I want him to re-sign him. Don't get me wrong.
I do too. I think the real Bill Belichick move here is to get rid of Skinner. Fuck off, guy. And you're gonna fill your hole with fill that hole with
Victor
Victor
Olofsson.
who probably shoots up. One of his best assets is shooting the puck. Jeff Skinner.
I'm going
Here's-
back.
here's-
I'm going to
but
Rochester
here's a
April 12th,
thought.
and I
We're-
cannot
we're-
wait.
Where Olsen isn't the same was his skating. He's a great skater, but he's not a Jeff Skinner great skater.
No.
He's that cool. He's like a real nervous shot there, Skinner.
Here's a thought. How about we have 2 guys on the team who can fucking score, and
Well-
we just keep Skinner and then call up Olofsson?
That'd be great.
You're crazy.
No, I'm not
Jeff.
saying. I'm not saying
This
they do
is
that.
That's what I'm-
insanity.
That's not the way things are done here.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying
It's
they
like
should do.
revolutionary.
I'm not saying that's what I want him to do. I'm saying it'd be a crazy move. It'd be a Bill Belichick move. I'm just saying. But maybe
The Bill Belichick movies, you sign the white guy from Buffalo to replace your guy.
Could it be that's what they're thinking? That we can put this guy with Eichel and just watch him fucking light it up. Who knows? I doubt that's what they're thinking. Because Botterill's not that dumb. Only I'm that dumb.
I mean, it's like you don't save money by doing that. Then you just end up with the $9 to $10 million that you have to pay Skinner. I mean, Olafson's on a rookie deal or whatever two-way deal he'd be coming up on.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the money in the world when you find some way to unload the Okposo contract by trading your entire draft and 2 other players for it. You have plenty of money.
I really like Okposo. He's getting paid too much, but I like him.
Me too.
Playing a two-way role.
I just have to separate Kyle Okposo the guy from Kyle Okposo the reality.
I don't like him because he's a great guy. He's a great guy, but he's also he's out there giving his all every shift.
Yeah, but his all kind of sucks.
You sign him for the offensive talent, the scoring talent, and he doesn't have that anymore. But he does provide great forechecking and defensive play.
So he's Zemgus Girgensons at 3 times the price.
Yeah, I guess. At this point, I'm not saying don't trade him, but I'm saying I don't think he's trash either.
I look at
ideal.
a fourth line of like Larson, Girgensons, and Okposo. I'm like, oh yeah, because I like it. Like, it's
don't you know Buffalo Sabres fans won all 3 of them? Gone. All 3 of them. Bye.
Larson been playing pretty decently.
Yeah, I mean, we just look at all the other former fourth line guys. You got Will Carrier is doing well in Vegas. I mean, Brian Flynn was here for a while. We just always hate our fourth line.
Paul Byron's still playing.
Paul
Byron's still
and playing top 6 in scoring.
Yeah,
he's good.
Buffalo Sabres fans perpetually hate their fourth line. They've hated their fourth line ever since Gaustad was on it. After Gaustad wasn't on it, they hated it.
I just think that when you look at fourth line guys, you can probably find energy guys for cheaper, and not that Girgensons and Larson are expensive, but you can get guys that are younger and cheaper to fill that role.
I think Rochester's brimming with talent right now.
Like C.J. Smith or somebody, or Zach Cashin back in the day, or I purposely said that name just to poke you in the side.
Someone's got it. Is it C.J. Smith?
Yeah.
You got me. I'm left it alone because I don't want to go on that rant again. But
Do it.
If you want to look at next year and sit down, look at the roster, what's going to be here next year, and try to put lines together, there's still like extra guys. Like someone's got to go, and I wonder who it's going to be. I don't think Okposo's tradable unless he retires. He's here. There's no way they can trade that contract. Sabaka probably here, unless he's going to be. I don't know, but there's no room for guys like Asplund. There's no room for guys like really for like Olofsson. I guess there is, but there's still extras. There's still extra guys. And I guess, and that's if they don't sign anybody free agency. You know what I mean?
Or trade for somebody, or.
But if they trade defense, which is their plethora right now, you're not going to trade D for D. I mean, you can, but it'd be silly. You're not sure risk lining for another defenseman. You're going to trade him for a center that you need. So it's going to be an interesting offseason. There's going to be trades.
And they're going to be drafting high, so they could be drafting an impact player right away, and who knows? Who knows?
Aspen's been playing great lately.
I told you the game. I said I'm going to Rochester again April 12th. I cannot wait because it's so much fun to watch him play. And Asplund was the fastest player on the ice, bar none, for either team. It reminded me of watching Bailey play with Kitchener. So I was at Fat Bob's for my wife's Christmas party one year, and they had an OHL game on. And literally the Rangers' plan was get the puck to center ice and dump it in on the side of the ice that Bailey was on because he'd just go get it. Nobody could beat him to the puck. He was the fastest player out there. And it felt like a man amongst boys watching him track down every puck in the corner. He didn't even have to take a hit because he was so quick to get there. And that's what it felt like with Asplund. They would gain the zone or fly through the neutral zone, and Asplund was just absolutely whizzing out there. He was noticeably fast out there. I'm not even like his fan. It's not like I was fanboying watching him play. He's fucking fast. You just see this guy whizzing around out there, and you're like, who is that? Rasmus Asplund. So it's fun watching him skate.
How nice was that Olofsson goal over the weekend?
Which one?
I didn't see it.
The one where he's backtracking and gets the puck.
I tweeted that, and there's so much little skill involved in that goal. It's like you really got to. There's a lot of skill in one quick play, and the way he got the shot off so quickly is insane.
The game I went to, he had a hat trick and an assist.
Really?
It was a 7-1 win.
That goal of the weekend, Jeff's talking about. He got the puck, coasting. He's in the slot and like gliding back, like coasting backwards
Towards the blue line.
like quickly. Now this is the kind of coasting. Was like he's skating back towards the blue line. Someone feeds him a puck, and he stops, pivots, and just rips a shot.
I need
All
to see.
like a split snap.
Was it the overtime goal? Because I need to see it because I'm trying to.
I don't know. Was it the overtime?
I didn't see it this weekend. I'm on the twitter.com trying to find it.
Oh, this is an audio medium, so let's keep talking.
Yeah, I mean, we're all good. I'm just watching.
I'm excited for him to be here next year. I just think that if your plan is let's just plug the Skinner hole with other things, you're going to have a hard time finding a guy in whether it's Panarin or any free agent or Asplund or Olofsson or whoever. It's going to be tough to do.
Yeah, that's the goal I was looking at. The overtime winner, right?
No. Look, it's my computer screen right now.
Well, don't tell me how to live my life, first off.
It's right in front of your own eyes.
I'm not even
Look
over
at it with
there.
your
That
eyes.
is so far away, Justin. I can't see one person on that screen.
Put it
only-
on
Send
the
me
big
the
screen.
tweet. Well, something.
If only
You can all go back into our Twitter and find this tweet. Justin retweet that.
I mean, that's an option, too.
So when you go onto our Twitter tomorrow, folks, it'll be towards the top. Right next to our Sabres Madness brackets. This is a good time to remind you all that if you are going onto social media, we have just finished the first round of our Sabres Drop Madness bracket, and it was awesome. Thank you all so much, everyone, for participating and being actively involved in it. We had a bunch of votes, a couple upsets, a lot of fun. We're on to the second round starting tonight.
I think we'll do the show next week, huh?
I think we'll do the show next week, yeah.
So we'll take the next couple of rounds and we'll do decide them ourselves. So if we did 60, if we did the rip from round 64, it's been way too redundant.
Yeah. So we'll do the top 16 or whatever on Monday.
Maybe we'll go down
or
to
top
the Elite
8.
We'll go to the Elite 8.
Yeah. So we'll do the top 8 final matchups here on the show on Monday, so you can let us know your thoughts. But you can decide what 8 events or players or things get to our top 8 by voting now. And throughout the course of the week, we're adding new brackets daily at this point to get to the Elite 8 by Monday at 716 Sport Podcast on Twitter.com.
It's been. I was worried about the kind of interaction we get with it, but it's been quite successful. I feel like.
It's been a lot of fun to be a part
I
of.
think about 200 votes in each thing, and a lot of interaction, a lot of positivity. Steve has candy.
Well, I'm not trying to transition us out of the bracket segment, but we do have one special segment for tonight. It's
Bringing
called-
back Steve's cold food takes.
What?
What?
I didn't know that was a thing.
No, it's the opposite of Mike's hot food takes.
Oh, okay. What was my cold food take before?
You haven't. It's the first time ever.
Then how are we bringing it back?
Bringing
Jeff?
it back.
So
We're bringing back food takes.
I went to the grocery store. Didn't mean to shut up the whole Sabres bracketology thing. You guys can. I went to Dashes, which carries Canadian candy bars, Nestle Canadian candy
Which
bars.
Dashes?
The one on Highland and Colvin.
Okay.
So I stopped in there.
That's by my house.
Yeah, I picked up an Aero bar for today. Now I even asked if they had coffee crisp, and they do not. So we're going to invite everybody here to break off a piece of Aero bar here, take a couple squares. So someone that knows this better than me, describe what we're eating, because my sister absolutely loves Aero bars, and I'm pretty sure it's just a chocolate bar, like milk chocolate with like bubbles in it.
It looks like milk chocolate on the outside with like whipped aerated chocolate inside. Looks like
aerated. See, that's why Mike's here. Aerated chocolate was better than bubbles. What I just said. It looks like there's bubbles in there, and Mike's like, no, that would be aerated chocolate, and you're right. So let's give this a go.
I don't know. This candy bar is very reminiscent of Canada. Kind of looks nice on the outside, but kind of shitty on the inside.
Fucking got him.
Wow.
That was okay.
This might be the first time I've had an Aero bar, which if my sister
100%
hears
the
this,
first time I've had it.
she'll kill me because it's my sister's favorite. So can we just take a moment and rip apart how this could be someone's favorite candy bar? Because it's not my favorite. It's not bad.
No, it's all right, you know. It's just
it's not overly sweet.
What are the holes for?
for
It
air.
feels like they were supposed to like put peanut butter in there and
It
they
brings
forgot.
nothing. It's like, how can we make this lighter?
I've got a weight limit on my flight and need to bring this 10-pound candy bar. What can I do to lower the weight of this?
It's almost like a Three Musketeers bar went wrong.
It's like a Three Musketeers bar put in a hydraulic press.
This is not how I expected this to go, by the way. I thought it would be good, and instead
Well,
we're ripping this.
No,
thing.
it's fine.
I don't mind Canadian candy. It's not bad. They have M&Ms. They call them Smarties. They're basically M&Ms for dummies.
Or Smarties for really smart people.
The coffee crisps are the best candy.
I'm gonna
bar
get
I've ever had.
coffee crisp for next week.
Don't
You said
get-
it's at Premiere.
Don't get Cosby.
They've had it there before.
Good.
They did not have it when
Do I
was
need to
there
buy
on
a
the
bunch,
weekend.
Justin? Because you're gonna want all of them.
If you buy some, I'll give you money for the other.
Well, since you bought pizza last week and I did not give you money. But
This
so-
segment's sponsored by Jet's Pizza. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah. What's your rating out of 10?
about a 6.
Yeah, it's a solid 6.
I'm with you.
6.5.
I have to pick a bone with my sister because that's like her favorite candy bar ever.
It's good.
There's
Which
so
is
many
fine.
good options out there better than that.
It's fine that it's not sweet, but it just seems like it's supposed to be kind of like a Three Musketeers. The texture of the inside chocolate is supposed to be like Three Musketeers, but it went wrong.
Because I like Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
There are a number of American candy bars I would choose over that.
100%.
A number of them.
So if you were listening to the podcast up to this point, we're fuck Canada at this point.
If you're listening, what's your favorite candy bar?
Oh yeah, that's a great.
Yeah, you can just tweet at us.
And if you're Canadian,
message
if you're
us.
Canadian, I'm sorry.
Defend that shit.
Defend it. And what's your favorite Canadian candy bar?
Yeah, I didn't hate that by no means. It sounds like
No,
I
it's
didn't
fine.
hate that. Like if
But it
someone
was
gave
just
to
like
me-
slightly above average. I would eat it if it was in front of me.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true of a lot of things.
Not
for me,
gonna-
though.
That
Not gonna
is
go
very
hunt that
true of a
out.
lot of things.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go out of my way to buy those though. I have to talk to my sister.
So you're making a new candy bar every week?
I'll do
sure.
it 100%. I'll contribute that. To
Perfect.
The
Let's
show.
do
I'm
it.
in. It's gonna get real weird in about 10 weeks.
It's totally fine.
We're gonna be evolving
the
away
weirder,
from Snickers,
the
and it's gonna
weirder,
be some
the
shit
better.
we've never heard of. So
Just dig deep.
I'll do it 100%.
I'll bring something crazy back from New York City when I'm there in a couple weeks. If I can find anything crazy.
Preferably
Come
something
on.
perishable, so you bring it back and it's not good anymore.
Come on, three of us in the
Ideally.
room. 3 of us in the room can probably convince somebody to bring something back from Taiwan.
That's true. Taiwanese candy. Let's
Who's
go.
going to Taiwan?
We
Who's
have people-
in Taiwan?
We have a company that has a manufacturing facility in Taiwan.
Oh.
Actually, they often bring us back snacks from Taiwan that I will not touch.
Some of them are pretty terrible.
There are a number of items that I've opened up and just like, nah,
No
garbage.
Upon further review. They're
This
probably,
does
they're probably
not look
totally
as good
fine.
as it sounded at first.
But I would eat
right?
it. You know that. Like
Yeah.
you've been at FC Buffalo with me, and there was that African food that I couldn't tell you one thing that was on the plate.
Steve is much more adventurous with food than I am.
Yeah, it was delicious though. I was literally
I think-
there was literally this thing rolled up on the plate that looked like a dirty washcloth. Right? I'm not lying.
No,
it was
it's true.
brown and like slimy, and it was delicious. So
Whatever it
Facts.
was. Yeah.
I think at some
Anyways.
point we should blindfold Steve, get some odd foods, put them in front of him, and see how that goes.
if it's an odd food, I'll eat it. If it's something that I shouldn't eat or like,
No, it'll just be
I will
unusual
throw up.
foods.
Like for example, we've done this game where we take an entire like Happy Meal and put it in a blender and make someone drink it.
Well, that's a terrible idea.
I throw up if I watch someone do that. So if you promise to not have it be like,
we don't have the dedication or the creativity to do that.
yeah, but if it's just a weird food item, I'll eat it. You don't even need to blindfold me. I'll eat it. You could literally bring me. You guys know what cow fries are?
no,
Deep
no.
fried cow testicles, and they're a thing. And like I've seen them on Food Network. I'm like, I'll try it. So you guys can, if you bring stuff in, I'll try it. But I'm not
actually,
saying
I've had cow tongue before, and it's
I love
pretty good.
tongue. I've had tongue and tacos.
really good.
I don't know how we got to this
I
point.
just want to say thank you to totally derailing the entire show.
You're welcome.
So please vote for our fucking brackets at Twitter.com.
We can blame Canada for this, right? For their
Yes,
slightly
absolutely.
above average candy bar.
I think at this point we're gonna start bringing on baby food every week, trying some different baby food.
Yeah. There we
Oh,
go.
Gross.
A year from now, we're
Ugh.
gonna be way deep on the end. I just drink a different craft beer every week, and we never talk about it. So that's my contribution.
Next year at this time, the Sabres are eliminated from the playoffs. For the 9th year in a row, we'll just be a food podcast.
Perfect.
Here we are.
Let's see what part of Jeff's body we
Once-
can punch today and hear his reaction.
Hey, once we get past January, we need something.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Leslie about it. After Sabres over, we'll probably do every other week.
Yeah.
But maybe we just be a total food podcast.
Every other week,
Can't
sports
stop,
and
won't
food.
stop.
We're
One
not
week
gonna-
sports,
we're
one
not
week
gonna
food,
do that.
and we're gonna get people to sponsor us and give us the food for free.
Guys, we have the draft in a month. We'll have plenty of football
That's
stuff
true.
to talk about.
That is true.
EJ Gaines.
EJ Gaines is
Good.
back.
Yeah.
That's our bill stock for the afternoon evening.
8-3 with them. I pulled that number out of my ass. I promise you, I didn't research that.
8-3 with him, 1-4 without him when he was here.
in the regular season because they did
regular
lose the postseason with him. He
I
wasn't.
mean,
in the lineup.
it's a 1 year deal. There's no harm in that. It's either
Depth.
he comes here and he's great, or nothing.
And their cornerback room is stacked right now.
It
with
does
just-
look real nice.
It might be all B+ players other than Trey White, but that's okay.
That's like how many A or A+ guys do you need? You really only need one shutdown guy.
I agree.
I mean,
Trey White doesn't count anymore. He liked Antonio Brown's status. He lived all of his Bills pictures on Instagram. He's a C player now.
Well,
Hashtag sarcasm.
sorry to bring you that. Sorry to bring you that news.
Everyone's going nuts on Twitter.
He's-
He liked that Antonio Brown thing. With
yeah,
the,
whatever.
I don't know. Who cares?
Social media fans are
It
weird.
was kind of funny though. This is the whole
the
face he made.
the Drake meme.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I'm sorry. Sure, it's shit in the Bills, but
It's just a weird take from a guy who's going to go play for the fucking Raiders that are going to be that are going to be into Las Vegas. And
I think they're going to be good. They have so many draft picks. I think Carr's a good quarterback. I think they're going to be good.
It all depends on how you use them, because I remember Matt Millen having a lot of high first-round draft picks.
I just want to see Hard Knocks with the Raiders this year.
Antonio Brown, especially if Marshawn is back at all.
I'll say Antonio Brown and Mark Lynch are going to either hate each other or love each other. It has to be fun to watch, regardless of the result.
Yeah. AB out there with Martavis Bryant suspended ass.
Did you see that video on Twitter of Antonio Brown and Carr meeting for the first time? It was like a minute and a half straight. It was just like, hey, man, let's go. This is crazy. This is crazy. Just kept going back about how crazy it was and how's it going, how you doing. It's like an incredible video. Incredibly awkward. It's
just got to be hilarious for Martavis Bryant, who wanted out of Pittsburgh because he felt he was never going to be ahead of Antonio Brown. He goes to Oakland, gets suspended, and now Antonio Brown is back on the team. So even if he gets back on the team, he's still behind Antonio Brown.
And meanwhile,
I never thought about that.
Meanwhile, Juju Smith-Schuster, pick him up in any fantasy leagues you can.
Yeah, he's good for at least one 95-plus yard touchdown a season.
A game.
And that's adventurous. That's adventurous. So we'll keep an eye. The draft's I think the draft's actually a month away from this week here. So
it is.
We'll do some more on that here in the upcoming weeks as we prepare for the Bills drafting 9th, maybe, or moving up or moving down, whatever's going on with all of that.
With all their moves, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do.
Brandon Beane had a really interesting comment today. I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter. He in his press conference he had tonight, he's like, trades could happen here. I'm not saying something's happening, but, if someone's looking to talk, let me know. Like, basically, like, fishing out for other GMs that he's still trying to make some moves. So he's still trying to be active, which I like. I think they've done a really good job so far this offseason. Nothing flashy. They tried to make the Brown move that would have been flashy, but
it was solid. It's been a solid offseason.
Yeah. Filling positions of need.
And they're far from done.
Oh,
It's going to be fun.
I mean, you still need a legitimate number one receiver.
Yes.
You could go for more offensive line talent, offensive line depth.
At least they've been doing a decent job with depth to start.
But yeah, they're doing something. You're not going to have an offensive line with Jordan Mills starting for you again.
She's very happy with the offseason so far.
Wait, Jordan Mills is in Houston now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone.
The only help that they've gotten poor Deshaun Watson is Jordan Mills. Deshaun Watson got sacked how many times last year? 1,032. I think it was 60-something, the real number. And the only move that Houston has made on the offensive line this entire offseason is Jordan Mills. So rest in peace, Deshaun Watson.
I'm not a GM, but one day NFL GMs are going to learn that the most important part of your team is the offensive line. Probably the offensive and defensive line.
Dallas learned it, though. Dallas did it.
Nothing happens on offense without those 5 hogs up in front.
Fat guys making blocks.
Is it weird to anyone else that Jason Witten is coming out of retirement and Rob Gronkowski is retiring?
Well, he was so bad on ESPN, he had to do something. And he's like, you know what I am good at? Catching footballs. So let's just do that.
Even at what, 36, 37 years old?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but he can't be worse at catching footballs at 50 years old than he is at broadcasting at 35 years old. So
yeah, I think the ESPN overcorrection after how good Tony Romo was is like, well, here's a guy who played with Tony and as a player, he probably knows a lot about the sport.
Did you say here's a guy on purpose just to quote John Madden? Well, here's a guy that thinks he knows how to call a football game.
Here's a guy.
And then boom, there's a touchdown.
But I mean, clearly there's a difference between knowing how to play the sport and being able to vocalize the sport. Because Jason Witten, while he was a smart, good football player, was dog shit at color commentary.
And then there's Tony Romo, who I think is phenomenal.
He's so good.
He's so good.
Phenomenal.
I think he just brings such a perfect mix of like player, coach, and analyst.
And he has fun doing it.
I think if you're bringing a coach, the next coach to be an analyst or next GM, it gets too coachy. It gets too, you know what I mean?
Too technical.
I didn't hate Gruden, though. I really didn't.
I mean, Romo just calls the game the way he sees it.
Mm-hmm. But it helps that he also played quarterback. So he understands hand motions, signals, packages, and that gives him a leg up on. Yeah, he's standing in the booth. He's sitting in the booth.
Why don't we get that from like Dan Fouts?
Because Dan Fouts played the game 30 years ago.
Maybe he should leave the booth and be defensive coordinator.
I mean,
he's calling plays from the booth, like, oh, the killing the play. It's gonna be run to the right usually.
I mean, Romo
plays killed, run to the right.
Romo calls the game like he's playing Madden with like simulated plays on. He's like, well, I think my team's gonna do this.
Yep.
I see what's happening. When this happens, we usually do this. Oh, there it is. And he just sees things so well. And even for an ex-player, he does really well with identifying things on the field. ESPN is reportedly talking with Peyton Manning to do color for Monday Night Football, which would be interesting.
Peyton Manning's so funny.
He's got that perfect dry sense of humor. And again, it's a guy who is so just cerebral with the sport. I've never heard Peyton call a game, so I'm not sure how it would be, but I'm curious to see what it would be like.
I wonder if he'll achieve pinkhead while doing color.
Up in the booth.
So good.
Wear a really, really long hat.
There's do Jack Eichel's red cheeks equal Peyton Manning's pinkhead?
So if you combine those two people, you get an eraser.
Could you imagine if the Bills actually drafted Patrick Mahomes, not because he's good at football, but because I think he looks kind of just like Jack Eichel. He had the same fucking haircut, the same face structure. They're almost like twins. Could you imagine if they had the Buffalo Sports
Patrick
had
Mahomes.
two franchise players that looked like twins?
Patrick Mahomes is Jack Eichel in the witness protection program, like slightly fuzzier and with an obviously fake voice.
Yeah, right. That's pretty funny. Actually,
It's me, not Jack Eichel here.
if you're listening right now, if you made it through the Kanji talk and baby food talk, if you're listening right now, go to Google Images and look up Patrick Mahomes and Jack Eichel, and there's a definite similarity there. Honestly, they look just alike, but there's definitely lots of similarities. You said the same thing to me the other day.
The haircut is... The facial structure is actually surprisingly close. When you told me this, I'm like, I don't believe you. Then you showed me, I was like, I can see it.
And they have the same haircut.
They do. Same curly mess. Squished by helmets.
If the Bills actually drafted them, but they should have. I like Josh Allen, but it'd be funny if they had two franchise players that look exactly the same.
Mine says 2020 on that one.
Yes, it sure is.
So, I don't know about the rest of you. I watched about 30 hours of college basketball over the last 4 days. It was wonderful. I love March Madness. It is untouchable in any sport. The only downside for me all weekend was the UB game yesterday. Man, that was rough. Like a 20-plus minute almost just straight-up scoring drought.
56 minutes of real time without a field goal.
Painful.
Bold strategy.
And
Cotton.
they started really slowly. They figured it out. They were getting the ball to Perkins. They were hitting some shots. They took a 1-point lead, and they just, of all the times all season, to just go ice cold from the field. And yeah, I know Texas Tech is one of the top defensive teams in the country for a reason. It's a tough team, tougher than a lot of teams UB's played this season. But man, they did not do themselves favors. They had makeable open shots, and they were not hitting them. And it was frustrating. Like if you had told me yesterday with the men playing Tech and the women playing UConn, which is probably the most dominant single sports franchise over the last 10 years, UConn women's basketball, if you asked me which of those teams is going to perform better, I would have told you it was the men's. I was incorrect. The UB women, although they did not win, Sierra Dillard had the highest single point performance against UConn women all team, UConn women all year. And honestly, they played a pretty competitive game, all things considered. The men it was terrible. I flipped over to Liberty Virginia Tech because I could not watch any more of that terrible shooting performance.
I tuned in at right about the start of halftime, and I was like, I think the score was like 20-31 or something. Yeah. I was like, oh, cool, I didn't miss very much. And I happened to see the time in the court. I was like, oh man, this is a very low scoring game. And then I think they proceeded to miss like the next 16, 20 shots. And I was like, man, dude, it was rough. Felt bad for him.
I don't know. For some reason, I was finding the NIT easier to watch.
I haven't watched much basketball this year. I didn't get into any brackets, so I'm depressed and haven't watched.
Actually, the NIT is interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they implement a couple of those rules during the college season next year.
What rules are that? I haven't watched any.
The FIBA 3-point line, the NBA key. The game is basically being broken into 4 10-minute quarters without quarter breaks, basically, when it comes to your team fouls. You get 5, and then it resets at the 10-minute mark.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's no 1-and-1. It goes 5 team fouls, then you shoot 2.
So they're basically just doing quarters at that point, then. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting to watch.
That's what the women's game has become. They do quarters now instead of halves.
But yeah, it was kind of interesting to watch. The little extra distance on the 3-point line doesn't seem to be affecting much. I mean, it definitely looks like that could be some realistic stuff going into college basketball next season, making it a little closer to the pro game.
I did always think they had to go to the NBA 3-point line, but
I think it's a no-brainer. They're adult men. There's no like.
I mean, at this point, like these tournament games are being decided by someone jacking up a 3 that would be a 2 in the NBA
Yeah.
all the time, which feels weird to me. I love college basketball, though. They can change it or not change it, do whatever they feel is right, and I'll watch the tournament religiously every year. But
I mean, college basketball is kind of its own unique thing. I mean, even on TV, the environment comes through. It comes through to the viewer.
I love how the environment is just everyone in the crowd wants every top seed to be upset. And they've got the biggest set of blue balls ever on Sunday when that UCF tip did not go around and down because they should have won that game. And the crowd was all ready to pounce on it, and Zion Williamson and the Blue Devils escaped somehow. Taco Fall is a tough, tall man. It's incredible.
The fact that he fouled out totally changed that game because he would have grabbed the rebound that Duke put back, and then he would have gotten the rebound and probably buried it on the other side when they missed back-to-back layups. But I don't know. It was a fun finish, but it just felt like Duke had a horseshoe up their asses. It's kind of like watching the Patriots. The
UCF missed that breakaway dunk that would have given them a 6-point lead. They never recovered. That was it. So the tournament continues this weekend. A couple last things to throw out here before we wrap. You have a look on your face. You want to say something, Justen? Yeah.
Steve just told us. Steve posted about our
Aero bars. Yeah.
Our review on Facebook, and we didn't. Someone said,
That's my sister.
Do you have any of these left?
No.
Do you have any of the candy bar
No,
left?
I'll bring another one.
We gotta try this now. The key
What'd
to
you say?
eating them is to suck on them, not just bite and chew.
Talking about an Aero bar.
This is not. That's not a. That's not a candy bar then. Thanks for clarifying that, by the way.
Yeah. Because we took a hard left turn right back to that, and if people are still listening,
Anything is possible.
Let's take another hard right back to sports.
Yes.
And on these two things. Hold on. Well, you want to say something?
I had 2 things.
We have 4
UB
things.
Ice Hockey lost their tournament game last Thursday, 4-1 to Missouri State. They got a first period goal, tied at 1 after 20. Just didn't get some bounces to go their way. They played well. It was a good team. That's the best team they've had in the 3 years that we've been able to work with the program, and a good send off for the seniors to get the conference championship again, get the conference tournament championship again. It'll be interesting to see what the team looks like. But I know that Jeremy is pretty confident in his guys. There's a lot of good returning guys to that team, so it'll be good to see them back in September. And the Buffalo Buttes cleaned up nicely today at the NWHL Awards.
Almost every award of the league.
So, best goaltender, best defender, MVP is voted by the players and league MVP. The latter two on the same line together as Zabaras, Bolden, Skimura, and Elia all win individual awards.
Ilya voted league MVP, but not voted to the All-Star game. I wonder if maybe she couldn't make it to the All-Star game.
I don't think that's it.
Okay.
But it's
I have
weird.
happy thoughts.
It's weird that the league wouldn't promote her more because
should be an
she's
Olympian.
incredible.
She should be
an Olympian.
She'd be a top-line player in
She
that
and
team.
Skimura are very similar in skill. And Skimura's getting the looks. I think Maddie should too.
Yes. I do agree.
So everything but the Isabel Cup this year.
Mm-hmm. You know, the Sabres started the way they did it. They had that 10-game win streak.
Mm-hmm.
Since said 10-game win streak, they have won 13 games. So they won 10 in a row. They have won 13 since. That's impressive. If you think.
Ouch.
There's regressing to the mean, and there's whatever that is.
Yeah. I mean, I fully expected them to regress to the mean, but that's... What is that? That's even worse than a collapse.
I heard today 14 out of 40. I'm not questioning your 13, but either way, it's
bad.
I love the beginning of the year. The Sabres should make the playoffs, barring nothing drastic happens.
And then something drastic
Something
happened.
drastic happened. That's incredible, actually. I can just laugh about it now.
I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, the worst we were expecting is them to be maybe a couple points out. I mean, we weren't expecting... Are they even going to hit 70 points this season?
I don't think so. I don't know
It's
that.
not guaranteed.
And then you mentioned interesting Brandon Bean comment a bit ago. And another Bean comment from today, which I like. I lost it now. Sure did. Oh, you should 100% take the best player on your board. And when was the last time the Bills have been in position to take the best player on the board? I think this offseason and the players they've signed finally allow them to take the best player on their board.
Still need a receiver.
They got about 18 now.
Yeah, and 17 of them suck.
Okay, sorry. The Sabres have 71 points right now.
It feels like way less than that, though.
I know it does, doesn't it?
I've totally tuned out. I watched the games. I haven't looked at the standings at all. I know they're not.
I'll be at the game on Sunday because I bought these tickets months ago.
I'm watching
when
the
you
game.
Thought they were going to be good.
Well, I didn't even buy them. These are the free tickets we get with our Bandit seasons.
I'm watching the game now, basically this point because we have a show to do, and but basically I'm watching because I got to watch Nylander. I've been waiting to see him play for years, and I like watching Middlestat, who didn't play tonight. Why are you gonna? You should have scratched that guy in December when you still have playoff hopes. If it's that bad, you scratch him in December, watch him, have him learn from the press box, send him a message about playing better defense. You scratch him in December when you have playoff hopes, not when there's fucking 8 games left in the season. There's nothing left to play for, and you're gonna scratch your young players that need to develop.
He gets to watch Sabaka and see what not to do.
It's just I don't understand Phil Housley. And then he has a quote saying, "It's this lineup's day to day. We evaluate going forward." Like,
What is he evaluating?
This whole results based lineup is so crude. I don't get it. Like, what a dumb philosophy to have as a fucking professional.
Well, it's
head
just
coach.
a cop out for subjectiveness. Basically, there's no rhyme or reason to what he does or doesn't punish.
I've never I was so excited about the guy, and we were probably kind of apologists the first year, and then I've never. I mean, both my fandom it's been Lindy Ruff as the head coach, and then Ron Ralston, which is pretty funny. But I've never seen such a bad coach. It's crazy. A bad hire. I wonder how
this team on paper is better than the results they're putting up. They really should be.
Yeah. We're an hour and 10 in here. Let's say goodbye.
And we're just meandering now.
Yeah, we're getting frustrated.
We've been meandering for a little while, but yes.
I guess that's what we do.
So thank you all for listening. We'll be back here next Monday with the Elite 8 of our Sabres Drought Madness bracket, plus recapping whatever else in the world of Buffalo sports comes our way. As always, if you enjoyed the show, didn't enjoy the show, or are entirely apathetic about the entire hour, 10-minute show that you made it through, God bless you for doing that. You can like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, again, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, wherever your favorite podcasts are located. And drop by our Facebook at 716 Sports Podcast and Twitter at 716 Sport Podcast. Get your vote on.
And we need some Twitter interaction. Three things from me this week. We need your favorite candy bar, your favorite Canadian candy bar if you have one, and yes or no if Eichel and Mahomes are kind of alike.
Tomorrow when the show goes up, Justin, you should post pictures of both of them next week.
I agree.
And I think if anybody gives us any negative or apathetic reviews, we need to rip them apart on the
Well, we already
next
said
show.
if you send us a review, we will read it on air and we'll send you a Tim card.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That still stands.
I must have been asleep during that part. Oh, well.
You don't count. You're on the show.
That's why I've left 3 reviews and still haven't gotten a Tim card.
We even left shit for reviews.
Burner accounts.
Beeve Sturmel. Noted burner account.
That was the best.
Bye.
We'll see y'all next week.